Hello and welcome to my first and probably last crime podcast. Today we're going to oh my god, look. Today we're going to talk about Charles Manson. And he was a cult leader and a murderer. And we're going to talk about that. So, for the lot of you who probably don't know who Charles Manson is, given that's probably the reason why you're here to find out who he is. I'm just gonna start at the start because that just feels like the best place to begin. So, Charles Manson was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, in 1934, November 12th, to his mother Kathleen Maddox, who wasn't okay. Yeah, she wasn't the best person. She may have contributed to what happened later on in life. Okay, but that's besides the point. She was an alcoholic and a prostitute, and she gave birth to him when she was just 16. So that's already grounds for some dysfunction. Mr. Manson did not have the greatest childhood. Shortly after he was born, his father just completely walked out on his mom and him, and they were left to fend for themselves for a while. His mother, being the only breadwinner of the house, made it difficult considering her profession and how old she was and all the other things. And Manson very quickly started lashing out in school, contributing to horrible things. And he was placed into a boys' school, which is like a reform school, making sure he doesn't, stab someone, which is a good thing to do. Manson was just in and out of reform schools. Constantly, people were trying to make him a good person. It just was not happening. And that got to him. That really got to him. By the time he was 20, he had spent a lot of his time in correctional facilities and just jails for all sorts of crimes. All right, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because there's a lot of information in between that I don't think I'll be able to fit within this one session. So, boom, fast forward 20 more years. It's 1967, and Manson was just released from, yet again, another prison sentence. And while he was in the slammer, he did not waste any time. He had been reading various books, getting well learned in the ways of prison and just kind of how the world should work in his corrupted mind. And the icing on the cake is that when he was doing his main prison sentence, that lasted up until, I believe, 67, he had been experimenting with hallucinogenic drugs like LSD and mushrooms that he had managed to sneak into jail. Don't ask me how he got them in. I have no idea. Again, I can't find anything on this guy. He is a ghost. But those just further sent him down the rabbit trail. His childhood, his undiagnosed schizophrenia, that was not a good thing paired with all the drugs. And somehow, in this crazy world of ours, he managed to gather a group of around 100 people who believed in the same things he did. And that was just... reading that was insane to me. Someone with his same mindset, 100 someones with his same mindset, who believed in like the unconventional style, his passion for just the world being weird, and just the use of drugs just constantly. It's pretty impressive he could get that, actually. All right, I forgot to mention this earlier, and I meant to put it here, but it's far too late at night for me to actually make that fix. So he claimed he was Jesus a couple times and wanted to start a race war so that way when the world ended, he would be the leader of it all with all of his people, because they'd be in a bunker while the race war happened and the world just kind of folded in on itself. So I felt like I should add that. He thought he was Jesus and race war. So kind of expounding on what I just said about him thinking he was Jesus and all that, Manson actually had like a really, really strong belief and interest in Armageddon and the Book of Revelations, which is where he kind of got his ideology of, hey, the world is going to end, and here's how it's going to happen. The idea of a polluted mind, delusional, neurodivergent ex-criminal with around 100 people just kind of roaming about is already kind of scary enough, but really given no massive reason for concern. Because at that time, experimenting with drugs was pretty much normal, and there's crazy people running around everywhere. But the real trouble began when the Manson family just kind of turned. Kind of killed like 35 people. not the greatest outlook on their cult. Um, Surprisingly, none of them were charged until the murder of a Polish actor named Wojciech Frykowski, which was apparently the only one they could actually find evidence on that Manson and his cult followers, I suppose, that was the only one they actually had evidence on until some of his later murders near 60, 68, 69-ish. And that's just incredible to me, how you can carry out 35 murders and only be charged for 7 or 8 of them. That's the crazed kind of mastermind that Manson was. And Manson himself never actually killed a single person. He was the brains per se behind the operation. He had about like four or four followers that really carried out most of the murders. That was Charles Tex Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, Linda Casbian, I think that's correct, and Susan Atkins. And they were responsible for at least 3/4 of the 30-ish murders that happened. And funny enough, Manson was not originally detained for the heinous murders he committed, but instead for vandalism on a national park. Only then, when the police officers took him into the police station, they found out, wait a second, this guy's a cult leader and a mass murderer. Let's do some background search on him. I've recorded this take 7 times. Okay, so Manson's modus operandi was home invasion and murder via a gun. So he would target these people he was either directly or indirectly related to. Most of the time, they're actually famous people. And the reason he gave that he only tried to kill famous people is that he wanted to shock the world and make people take notice, all further feeding into his idea to start a race war somehow. I'm not sure how that really tied in, but that's the mind of a crazy guy for you. But yeah, after they ran a background search, they found out all of what happened, and he was held in custody until 1971, where he was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy for murder. Yes, for the Tate LaBianca victims. He was sentenced to death, but something happened. Not sure what, probably a legal loophole of some sorts, and he was sentenced to life in prison. A lot of the time he spent in solitary confinement, which only further kind of worsened his mental state. Okay, hi, yes, me again. I'm editing, and I found what happened, the little legal loophole. So, California's Supreme Court invalidated all death sentences prior to 1972, and that's how we got off the hook. Okay, yes. So, as a very brief conclusion, Charles Manson was a crazy man and a famed cult leader whose followers were murderous. He killed 35 people in 1969, including the slaying of Sharon Tate, which was one of the most notable murders. He misinterpreted the song Helter Skelter by the Beatles as a call to just kill people because he believed that would initiate a race war. Somehow. I don't know. And after 4 decades in prison, he died about 4 years ago. That's 2021. Huh. A little known fact about him, he actually wanted to be a musician. Don't know why I said that, but it's in the recording, and I don't feel like deleting it. Okay, thank you for listening to Noah's first and definitely last crime podcast. All right, I love you guys. Bye.